Imagine returning to the high-stakes, glamorous world of fashion after a decade. The chaos, the power plays, and the cutthroat competition all reignite. But this time there's a twist. The once secondary character who watched and learned is now in the spotlight, and she's ready to take charge. This time, Emily Blunt isn't just playing a supporting role, she's stepping into the center of it all. What has she been up to? And how will her character shift the dynamics in The Devil Wears Prada 2? Asterisk after years of playing supporting characters. In various films, Emily Blunt's return to the Devil Wears Prada universe marks a significant evolution. In the first film, she played Emily Charlton, Miranda Priestly's harried, loyal assistant. While her role was critical, Emily was always the one behind the scenes, often dealing with the fallout of Miranda's demanding lifestyle while providing dry humor and sass. But things have changed. Now in The Devil Wears Prada 2, Blunt's character is stepping up. No longer just a supporting player, she's commanding attention. So, what can we expect from this new version of Emily? The sequel promises to delve deeper into the life of this character who has grown in stature and confidence since we last saw her in the original movie. Emily was the epitome of ambition, someone who would go to great lengths to please Miranda Priestly, even at the cost of her own well-being. But over the years, she's had time to reflect on her career, her personal life, and what truly matters to her. Emily is no longer just a yes woman. She's carved out a space for herself in the fashion world, one that's all her own. In The Devil Wears Prada 2, we'll see her in a new role, a leader in her own right. What's her journey been like since she left Miranda's shadow? The movie teases a character who has been building her career, possibly even starting her own company or taking on a more prominent role at Runway. She's no longer just serving the whims of the powerful, but instead making strategic decisions of her own. This shift signals a dramatic departure from the stressed-out assistant we once knew. This change in Emily is important, not just for her character arc, but for the film's broader narrative. The high-fashion world that Miranda once ruled with an iron fist is in flux. In the sequel, it's clear that there's a power struggle happening. Emily's new role as a key player in this world makes her an essential part of the evolving story. She's not just an employee anymore. She's someone who can shake things up, challenge the status quo, and navigate the complex web of relationships that define this industry. The heart of this change is Emily's growing independence. In the first film, she was always trying to keep up, always on the back foot, scrambling to prove herself. But now, she's in a place where she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. She's earned her place, and that's going to make her interactions with Miranda, Andy, and even other newcomers much more interesting. Emily's character has evolved into someone who can stand toe-to-toe with the industry's top players. It's no longer about surviving under Miranda's oppressive rule. It's about carving her own path in this unforgiving world. The fans who loved Emily in the first film will find much to admire in her character's transformation. This is no longer the same assistant who couldn't handle her boss's wrath. The sequel gives us a glimpse of a woman who is wiser, stronger, and fully capable of taking on the challenges of the fashion industry. Whether it's navigating office politics, building relationships, or managing power struggles, Emily's got it covered. In conclusion, The Devil Wears Prada 2 promises a much more layered and complex Emily. As her character steps out from the shadows and into the light, we can expect her to be more than just a sidekick. She's a force to be reckoned with, and her role will no doubt reshape the course of the sequel. Fans can look forward to seeing Emily take the reins in a way that's unexpected, exciting, and entirely satisfying. In order to understand the full arc of Emily Blunt's character in The Devil Wears Prada 2, we need to look back at the first film and how it set the stage for the characters we've come to know and love. The Devil Wears Prada wasn't just another fashion movie, it was a cultural phenomenon that gave us a peek into the glamorous, fast-paced world of high fashion, while offering a sharp critique of the sacrifices it demands. But among all the fierce, powerful women at the top, one character stood out as the voice of reason, humor, and at times, chaos. Emily Charlton. When we first meet Emily in the original film, she is Miranda Priestly's right-hand assistant. Played with sharp wit and endless sarcasm by Emily Blunt, she's far from a typical assistant. Emily isn't there just to fetch coffee or run errands. She's Miranda's trusted lieutenant, handling the inner workings of the fashion empire with an almost military precision. But as much as she tries to maintain composure, her character's vulnerability is clear. She's constantly caught between her loyalty to Miranda and the desire to maintain a sense of personal life, something that often slips out of her grasp. Emily's role was essential not just for Miranda's success, but for the tone of the film. Through her, we get a first-hand look at the brutal demands of working for a boss like Miranda, who doesn't see anything but her own vision. We see Emily running around in her designer heels, always stressed and perpetually overwhelmed. At one point, she even ends up in the hospital, a direct result of the all-consuming nature of her job. Yet, despite all this, Emily remains fiercely loyal. Even when she knows she's being pushed beyond the breaking point, her character's arc in the first movie is primarily about survival, learning how to navigate the unspoken rules of the fashion industry, maintaining a facade of perfection while keeping it all together. There is an element of comedy in her struggles, from the way she sarcastically handles Andy's naivety to her sarcastic remarks about her own unrelenting job. But as funny as Emily is, there's also a deep sadness beneath the surface. She's stuck in a job that demands everything from her, yet gives very little in return. And then there's her relationship with Miranda. While Andy, played by Anne Hathaway, has a personal relationship with her boss, Emily's connection is all business. She understands the power dynamics between her and Miranda, but there's an unspoken understanding that Emily is one step behind. Miranda, always cleaning up the messes, but never quite in the spotlight. That's why Emily's character became a fan favorite. She's the glue that holds everything together. But the movie never fully allows her the same level of acknowledgement she deserves. But, importantly, the film also touches on Emily's humanity. While she's the epitome of professionalism, her personal life is a mess. Her boyfriend is often neglected, and we see just how much her job demands from her physically, emotionally, and mentally. Yet, as tough as she is, Emily is also someone we root for, a character who's trying to keep her head above water in a world that doesn't have room for anyone who isn't perfect. Looking back, The Devil Wears Prada positioned Emily as the essential sidekick to Miranda, someone whose value wasn't truly appreciated until the very end. But beneath that sharp exterior and seemingly infinite patience, there's a character with the potential to break free from the shadows of her boss. And that's where the sequel, The Devil Wears Prada 2, picks up, showing us an Emily who's no longer just following the rules. She's ready to make her own. In the first film, Emily's life was about finding balance between her loyalty to Miranda and her own desires. By the time The Devil Wears Prada 2 begins, Emily has likely found that balance, although not in the way we might expect. This growth, this evolution, makes her one of the most compelling aspects of the sequel. It's not just about fashion anymore. It's about a woman reclaiming her own power and taking the lead in a world that used to leave her behind. In The Devil Wears Prada 2, Emily Blunt's character is anything but the same frantic assistant we saw in the first film. Now, years later, the transformation is undeniable. Gone are the days of serving coffee and running errands. Emily Charlton has stepped into a leadership role, and she's not just playing catch-up anymore. Her story is no longer about being a loyal underling. It's about power, control, and the challenges that come with running in the same circles she once observed from the sidelines. The sequel presents Emily as a woman who has found her footing in the fashion industry. But this time, she's not just another cog in the machine. She's calling the shots. How did she get here? The years between the first film and now have been crucial in shaping Emily into the powerhouse she's become. No longer content with just supporting Miranda Priestly, she's carved out her own path, one that doesn't rely on being anyone's assistant. In the original Devil Wears Prada, Emily's role was defined by her proximity to Miranda. Her entire life revolved around her boss's whims, and she was more than willing to sacrifice herself to make sure Miranda's empire ran smoothly. But in the sequel, Emily has grown wiser, more confident, and far more independent. It's clear that the woman we see in The Devil Wears Prada 2 is no longer a background character. She's a force to be reckoned with. Her story arc is about transformation, about stepping into her own power, and making her presence known on her own terms. So, what's changed? For starters, Emily has likely moved on from her previous relationship with Miranda. While the first movie hinted at her struggles with work-life balance, the sequel shows a more self-assured Emily, someone who's managed to build a life outside of the office. There are hints that she's now running her own agency or fashion consultancy, providing advice to the industry's brightest stars, and even pulling the strings behind some of the biggest trends. Emily's rise in the fashion world is now entirely independent, built on her own skills and experience, not just her proximity to Miranda, but stepping out of Miranda's shadow isn't without its challenges. In the sequel, Emily's growth comes with a new set of obstacles. Being in the spotlight means that now she must contend with new competitors, jealousies, and rivalries. The fashion world is as cutthroat as ever, and Emily is no exception to the pressures of maintaining success. However, her maturity and experience allow her to handle these situations with a mix of sharp wit and strategic thinking qualities. She honed while working under Miranda's watchful eye. It's not just about the professional changes, though. Emily's personal growth is also a key focus in The Devil Wears Prada 2. In the first film, Emily was constantly torn between her job and her personal life. We saw her neglecting relationships and battling her own burnout. But now she has learned to set boundaries. Her character's new dynamic is one where she no longer sacrifices her personal happiness for work. She understands that real success comes with balance. Despite her growth, Emily remains the sharp-tongued, witty character fans adored. Her humor has evolved, becoming more sophisticated, but it still retains that trademark biting edge. In The Devil Wears Prada 2, Emily is navigating the high-powered world of fashion on her own terms, but she's still the same character who delivers hilarious one-liners and perfect moments of dry sarcasm. Her confidence in herself and her abilities has shifted from a quiet, almost invisible presence to a fully formed leader. The key difference, however, is that Emily is no longer just a follower of the fashion industry's rules. She's a trendsetter in her own right. She's not just playing the game, she's changing it. She's now one of the power players, influencing the very trends that once defined her role as an assistant. Emily has earned the respect of her peers, and this time she's making the rules. In summary, The Devil Wears Prada 2 introduces us to a new Emily Charlton, a woman who's evolved beyond the role of assistant. She's no longer someone hiding in the background, catering to the whims of her boss. Instead, she's at the forefront of the fashion world, navigating its challenges and asserting her own power. This shift isn't just about career success, it's about Emily's journey from a subordinate to a leader, and from a woman who once struggled for balance to one who's found it, all while maintaining the humor and wit that made her unforgettable. In the first film, when news broke that The Devil Wears Prada 2 was in the works, fans of the original film were buzzing with excitement. The anticipation for this sequel has been building for years, but one thing in particular has everyone talking: Emily Blunt's return. Since the release of the first film, Emily's character, Emily Charlton, became an iconic part of the Devil Wears Prada universe. While she was never the central character, her role as the sarcastic, hard-working assistant resonated with fans. Now that she's stepping into the spotlight in the sequel, the stakes are higher and the expectations even greater. The first film's legacy is powerful, and fans are eager to see how The Devil Wears Prada 2 will live up to the original. Emily's role in the sequel is especially important, given how she was a fan favorite in the first movie. Audiences are curious to see how the character has evolved over the years, what kind of woman she's become, and how her dynamic with the other major players in the story, particularly Miranda Priestly, will unfold. It's clear that Emily Blunt is the perfect actress to bring this character to life again, and fans are eager to see how she will navigate her way through the changing landscape of the fashion industry. One of the things fans are most excited about is how Emily's character will fit into the larger narrative of the sequel. The first film primarily focused on Andy Sachs, played by Anne Hathaway, who learned the harsh realities of the fashion world under Miranda Priestly's guidance. Emily, as Miranda's loyal assistant, was more of a supporting character, albeit a memorable one. But in The Devil Wears Prada 2, Emily is no longer in the background. She's stepping into a leadership role, and fans are ready to see how she handles the pressure of being at the top of the fashion world. How will she clash with Miranda, if at all? How will her new sense of power impact her relationships with old friends like Andy? These are the burning questions fans want answers to, beyond the character arc. Fans are also buzzing about the potential for deeper exploration of Emily's personal life. In the first film, Emily's personal struggles were hinted at, but her character was primarily defined by her role as Miranda's assistant. In the sequel, now that Emily has grown into a more independent woman, fans are curious to see how her personal life has evolved. Has she found balance between work and her relationships? Is she still as fiercely loyal to Miranda as she once was? These are the layers of Emily's character that fans are excited to see unfold, and many are eager for more screen time with the character who provided so many memorable moments in the original. What's more, Emily Blunt's rise as a major Hollywood star since the first Devil Wears Prada film has only fueled excitement. From her standout roles in A Quiet Place to her transformation in Edge of Tomorrow, Blunt has proven herself as one of the most versatile and talented actresses of her generation. Fans who have followed her career are eager to see how she brings this new version of Emily to life. Will she bring the same level of humor and dry wit that made Emily so endearing in the first film? Or will we see a more serious, refined side to the character? With Blunt at the helm, the possibilities are endless. And the fans are all in. Social media reactions to Emily's return have been overwhelmingly positive. From Twitter threads to Instagram posts, fans have been celebrating the news, speculating about what Emily's character will bring to the sequel, and sharing their excitement about the actress returning to such an iconic role. In fact, many fans are already calling her character the most anticipated part of The Devil Wears Prada 2, and it's clear that her presence will be a major focal point for the film's success. However, not all reactions are purely positive. With the long wait for a sequel, there's also a sense of cautious optimism. Can The Devil Wears Prada 2 live up to the expectations set by the first film, which has earned such a beloved place in film history? Can Emily Blunt's character really fill the shoes of a more prominent role in this sequel? Or will she remain overshadowed by the larger-than-life presence of Miranda Priestly? These are the questions that linger in the minds of some fans, who are hopeful but understandably apprehensive about whether the sequel can capture the magic of the original. Still, one thing is certain: The Devil Wears Prada 2 is one of the most anticipated films in recent years, and Emily Blunt's role is arguably the centerpiece of that excitement. Whether she's dealing with the changing dynamics of the fashion world, facing new challenges, or simply showing the world what it means to stand tall in a room full of power players, fans can't wait to see what she brings to the table. The journey of Emily Charlton is just beginning, and for the fans who adored her in the first film, the sequel is bound to offer a whole new perspective on her character, and it's one they're not going to want to miss.